Lankford.
Thank you, Chairman Paul. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Actually, yesterday I released my 8th report, what we call federal fumbles, where we regularly put out in front of the American people areas of waste and abuse and fraud or improper payments, and try to be able to highlight those and shine some sunshine on them to hopefully get rid of them and to be able to make tax dollars more efficient in the way we're spending on this. Many of those things, as you can imagine full well, were foreign aid related that we have talked about over the last several years, including this year as well. We highlighted that the federal government and the American taxpayer paid for 12 drag shows in Ecuador. I'm not sure why the people of Ecuador couldn't pay for their own drag shows, but apparently Oklahoma taxpayers had to pay for that. The USAID funded fisheries in Algeria, where they literally built a fish farm in the middle of the desert among a people that don't eat fish, actually, in their normal diet because they live in the desert. They don't normally eat fish, and we're not interested in eating the fish, but American taxpayers and my Oklahoma taxpayers paid for those, and that has become an issue for me. There was a study that was done by the NEH on humans, chimpanzees, and climate change in Sierra Leone. We highlighted how we did a study with Oklahoma tax dollars to study the effect of climate change on European butterflies. Again, I don't know why the Europeans couldn't pay for that. We did a study on the effects of COVID-19 on the Russians. Again, not sure why the Russians couldn't have paid for that. And one of my favorites of the long list of least favorites here, we did a study on the benefit of seatbelts and helmets on individuals driving in Ghana. I could go ahead and tell you right now, seatbelts and helmets will help you and don't have to pay a dime to be able to do that study. So over and over and over again, we've highlighted this. The difference now and then is there's a bigger megaphone, and part of the frustration from my friends on the left is Elon Musk is daring to tell 1 billion people on X that this is happening. When it was only a few people that knew, or my limited following on X, it was okay. But if the megaphone gets louder and it gets pointed out more, it becomes more offensive because then it becomes a risk. So I have several things that I want to be able to drill down on. I've talked for years about Voice of America and the messaging they put out. It is literally government-paid journalists that are supposed to tell the government story of America internationally. What they're actually doing often is talking about murders in America and riots in America and how Trump is ruining Christianity in America, and on and on and on have been the negative stories about America that they're telling to the world on it. So one of my first questions to either of you is about the messaging that we put out globally, that we put out with Oklahoma tax dollars and American tax dollars to tell the American story and how the American story is being told internationally.
Thank you, Senator. I could actually speak a little bit from my experience with the Fulbright Scholarship Board, where I was also chagrined to see some of the people that we were thinking about sending abroad clearly didn't love this country and clearly had a kind of criticism that I think wasn't the best message that you would not necessarily want to see out there in the world. I also worry about the boomerang effect. So not just the message that we're sending abroad, but because of the nature of technology today, these voices that are meant to help create narratives abroad actually coming back and being a form of government propaganda here at home. Because that message, unlike maybe in the 1950s when we were trying to subvert communism in Greece, that message then comes back here. And so the content of that message, like you're talking about, is so critical that it is, in fact, something that is supportive of our interests and accurate, and something that is not going to undermine support for the United States here at home even.
Right. Schellenberger, you want to add anything to that?
Well, only that, I mean, of course, everybody should be free to speak their mind, but sure. I think if we're going to have taxpayers, funding this activity, they should be talking about how special this country is. I mean, that's why so many people have been trying to come here. So the level of anti-Americanism and globalism that we've seen promoted by these organizations, I think it's horrendous. So yeah. I share your views.
When the global media outlet for the United States sounds a lot like Russia Today's messaging globally, we have a problem on it, and that's our problem. They spend a lot of time saying we're going to prove that we have a free press by having government-paid reporters tell a story. If they want to prove we have a free press, we can point to CBS, ABC, and NBC and say, look, we have a free press on it, but we should be getting our messaging out on this. One other quick question on this. The Inspector General for Afghan Reconstruction noted at least $11 million has gone directly to the Taliban from our foreign aid of the $2 billion, and they couldn't identify the rest, exactly who were the recipients of that aid. Have you been able to track at all aid that's gone directly to the Taliban since we have left Afghanistan?
I have not, sir, but what I will point out, there's been a lot of complaints about the Inspector General at USAID being let go. What was the Inspector General doing exactly? I mean, we've seen all the waste, fraud, and abuse that you've documented, so what's the point of having an Inspector General if they're not going to inspect?
Right. I do hope that the president actually nominates a new Inspector General quickly. That is an important role for Congress to be able to have some insight into different agencies, and it's important to have that role, but I would agree. Your job is to inspect and to be able to report back, and if you're not identifying this waste, why are you there? I yield back.